Okay, Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone for this Saturday morning Srimad Bhagavatam session. So I was discussing with the coordinators. We have wonderfully completed 4 cantos. So thanks to all of you for hearing. Thanks to the coordinators as well. I know we finished the first chapter of 5th canto, but just a little bit of catch up on what we have done, right? So we have wonderfully done the first 4 cantos. So let's recap on the subject matters of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, we'll take about 10 minutes. Let's do a quick recap and then we can move on to today's topic, which is 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd chapter. Okay. So in the second chapter, 2nd canto, 10th chapter, we had this wonderful shloka by Sukha Goswami. So he said, Shri Sukha Vacha, Atra Sargo Visargascha Sthanam Poshanam Udayaha Manvantar Ishanukata Nirodho Muktir Ashrayaha. These are the 10 subjects or 10 topics that are covered in Srimad Bhagavatam. Why it's important is as we move on, to the 5th canto, we have completed some items and we are moving on. So what are the things that we have covered? What is it that we are doing is what we'll probably see here. So all of you, I'm hoping, can see the screen, right? So the first topic is obviously about the creation of the Lord, right? So it's called the Sarga. Sarga means creation or the creation of the material ingredients. We saw this elaborately in the 2nd canto, in the 3rd canto, wherein we spoke about the cosmic creation itself, the elements that were given. And when Kapil Dev actually was giving the instructions to his mother, Devavati, or Maitreya speaking to Uddhava, we had an elaborate discussion of this Sarga as a topic. The next topic was Visarga. Visarga is the secondary creation or the creation by Lord Brahma. So the raw ingredients are all given by the Supreme Lord. So he becomes the cause of all causes. But using these raw ingredients, if there is a creation that takes place, that is what is called Visarga or the secondary creation. You can see the secondary creation is again elaborately discussed in the 3rd canto and the 4th canto and a bit of 5th canto. So what we will be covering in the first set, though it's not mentioned in this table here, the first set that we see here will be a continuation of it. When we do a recap, we will actually catch up on that as well. Okay, so that's the Visarga aspect of it. Then it's Sthanam or the maintenance. Now, not much, even though a bit of it was discussed in the 2nd and 3rd canto on the universal structure and how it's maintained. Basically, it's talking about the Lord is the one who sustains the entire universe, right? So he's not only the cause of all causes. In the creation, maintenance, and destruction aspects of it, the maintenance aspect is also owned by Lord Vishnu or Lord Narayan, right? So that's the maintenance aspect. So we'll talk about that elaborately in the 5th canto, which is called the cosmic geography, right? So that's so that's your 5th canto. Now we have spoken, or we know about the Temple of Vedic Planetarium that's coming up in Sridhar Mayapur. The 5th canto is one of the biggest references that they have in this aspect. Moving on, Poshanam. Poshanam is your protection by the Lord, protection to his devotees, or a devotee protecting another devotee, and so on. Right? So Poshanam is basically the protection aspect. Now, throughout Bhagavatam, you will see this everywhere. But predominantly, it is mentioned in the 1st, 7th, and 8th cantos, right? So protection. 1st canto talking about the Kunti Devi prayers or your Pandavas protection, Ashwatthama's arrows, or your Parikshit Maharaj himself being protected. 7th canto will talk about Prahlad Maharaj being protected by Lord Narasimhadev. 8th canto again will talk about Gajendra's protection by the Lord. Or when the Lord comes as Vaman Dev, he protects Bali Maharaj. Right? So that's also established in the 8th canto. The 5th topic is your Uti. Uti is called motivation. The desire of conditioned soul that causes karma and activities is what is the motivation. What is our motivation? Is it the Lord or is it something else? right? So Uti talks about that, while how a devotee will actually be motivated in serving the Lord. Example is the third canto. We saw Dhruv Maharaj's story, right? So Dhruv Maharaj, what was his desire? How did it turn out, right? So it's initially it was materially looking desire, but devotee association, Narad Muni association, Lord's association, he that motivation transforms into spiritual motivation. We saw the story of King Prithu, and we'll see technically or more philosophical aspects of Uti in the 11th canto, where we'll talk about the influence of the material nature in our desires and how that moves around if it's a spiritual desire versus a material desire. That we'll see in the 11th canto. Shortly go there for sure. So the next part is the Manvantara. Now, Manvantara is the cycle of Manus, okay, or the different reigns of Manus, or the different stories connected with the Manus. Now, we already are in the story of Manu, right? So, if you all remember how we have come into this fifth canto, the story that we have just finished, right? The Prevarta Maharaj's activities, right? So, how is it connected to Manu? We'll actually see. Actually, his three sons became Manus, right? So, details. Tamasa, Raivata, and one more son, right? So all these will be detailedly discussed in the eighth canto. Eighth canto details the stories of Manu. Okay, Manu, father of mankind, basically each Manu, 14 Manus in a day of Brahma, and each Manu establishes what happens in that Manvantara, the rules and regulations. Some are common, some are new rules specifically set up by that one, how he wants to run it. Fundamentally, serving the Lord. Okay, the seventh topic is called Ishanukata. Isha is the Supreme Lord, right? So the Supreme Controller is Isha. Anukata, or the stories about the Lord, the different incarnations of the Lord. Also the stories that are connected to the devotees of the Lord. This is also a topic that comes under Ishanukata. So basically the Lord and his devotees, the different pastimes, the different leelas, the different incarnations. There is no one canto, right? So all the cantos talk about this. Specifically, we stick to cantos 1 to 9, where it talks about different avatars, different devotees, or the different dynasties that come in. Okay, we can talk about, let's say, the Ajamila story. That's also Ishanukatha. Prahlad story, Amrish Maharaj story. Every story that we are hearing that is connected to the Lord is called Ishanukatha. The eighth topic is called Nirodha. Nirodha is called dissolution or the annihilation of the universe. It can be partial or total annihilation. Third canto, we saw Maitreya Muni explaining about the different dissolutions that happen, right? So how the lower planetary systems are destroyed at the end of Brahma's day, how the entire universe is destroyed at the end of Brahma's life. 12th canto basically talks about the final annihilation. It actually elaborates on this annihilation topic. Okay, so that kind of is the last topic, along with, of course, what happens in the future. Bhavishya, Purana, not Purana, basically Bhavishya items that will come in the 12th canto when we go there. The ninth topic, devotees are usually interested. Most of them are interested. This is called Mukti. Mukti means liberation. Liberation has multiple levels. So all these levels are explained in different ways. A basic definition of Mukti is already seen in the second canto. But 10th canto and the 11th canto talk about this a lot more. So for devotees who already know, so the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam talks about Uddhava Gita. Uddhava's instructions that were given by Krishna to Uddhava. In that one, there is a lot of discussion on Mukti and different varieties of Mukti. Okay, even in 10th canto, you will see that every time a demon is removed, or every time a devotee surrenders to Krishna Balram, then there is a concept that is discussed which is around the Mukti. If Mukti is Mukti the topmost? No. So the 10th canto talks about Ashraya. Ashraya means the shelter or the supreme shelter, the ultimate shelter, right? So Krishna is the ultimate shelter. Now, though 10th canto has Ishanukata, though 10th canto has Mukti, though the 10th canto has a lot of varieties, the fundamental 10th canto substance is I am sheltered under the Supreme Lord, right? So this Ashraya. Okay, it can be Krishna's Vrindavan Leela, all of Vrindavan Leela, Mathura, Dwarka pastimes. So 10th canto is basically called the heart of Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So these are your 10 topics that are elaborately discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam. So why is this today required? Why did I have to start with this? Basically, if you see, this fifth canto is the one that talks about sthanam, elaborately, maintenance, though it is covered in bits and pieces in the other cantos, but the maintenance or the cosmic Bhagavata, the cosmic creation, or how the cosmology works. So Bhagavad cosmology is discussed in this sthanam. So it's a very technical aspect of this canto, or this canto. Half of this canto is going to be extremely technical. The first half is going to be lighter. Okay, so how does the first half work? Right, so let's do a bit of a recap. So if you remember, Vidura asking some questions, Parikshit Maharaj asking questions, and so on, right? So how the Bhagavatam flowed. One of the places where the Bhagavatam, after the creation topic in the third canto took place, we started discussing about the lineage of Swayambhu Manu. So Swayambhu Manu basically had two sons. He had Priyavrata and Uttanapada. This Priyavrata Maharaj, he became a devotee. Right? So when he became a devotee, he didn't want anything to do with the taking care of kingdom and everything, anything else. So he renounced everything. I think he went to the Manasotra mountains or Manasotra hills. He was disconnected from the story that was going on. So what was the story that was going on? Story was going on Uttanapad. Uttanapad's family lineage. There comes Dhruva Maharaj. Then we had many other people. We had Prithu Maharaj story and so on till Prachina Barhi. Prachina Barhi, we heard about that in the fourth canto on the Prachetas being his sons, all that, right? So the Prachetas now took care, but they were completely renounced and they were devotees of the Lord. So in the previous chapter, so the fifth, the previous chapter, the activities of Maharaj Priyavrata, you saw Lord Brahma coming and telling Priyavrata Maharaj to come back and take over the ruling of the kingdom. I don't know how many of you remember, but there was one fundamental thing the Priyavrata Maharaj asked, which is what we should also be asking on any given stage, right? So when he was already instructed by Narad Muni, he had become a devotee. Now Brahmaji was Narad Muni's superior, right? So father, he comes, he's also Priyavrata Maharaj's grandfather. His own father is Swayambhu Manu. So these all personalities have come and they are telling, come back and become a king. So the first thing he asked Swayambhu Manu initially, then Brahmaji assured him, was that, will I becoming a king degrade my position as a devotee? Okay, so I always feel that's one of the most important takeaways from the Priyavrata Maharaj Katha, saying that if I'm doing anything, material activity, I have to ask this question, is it going to help me with my spiritual progress or not? It could be a promotion or office, it can be a new house or a car, a new relocation, it could be a new job, anything. Is it going to impact my Krishna consciousness or not? If we can answer this question properly, then we will actually be able to take up the role like Priyavrata Maharaj did. He ruled wonderfully, he had his sons, he created all the different dvipas. I will not do a lot of recap around this, but I'm hoping devotees remember what were the topics discussed in the last two classes. So Priyavrata Maharaj had multiple sons. He had created the different dvipas. All his sons were named after Agni. I'm hoping you all remember, right? So that was what he did. So he was holding on to the entire creation, right? So that's what he did. So he split it up, basically. This Bhumandala, that's what he did. And he had 10 sons, 3 of them became Manus and so on, right? So you might have heard this. You would continue to hear this, right? So that's Priyavrata Maharaj. Now, his eldest son was called Agnidhar. So some devotees call it as Agnidhara. Some people call it. So basically, when we read it, it's going to be called as Agnidhara. So we will stick to this Agnidhara word. Okay. So we are going to talk about this Agnidhara Katha today. Now, again, why a bit of a recap that we did. Canto 1 and 2 are called the lotus feet of the Lord. 3 and 4 are called the thighs. And Canto 5 is called the navel of the Lord. Okay, so we have come to Canto 5, which is nice. Now we will go on to today's shloka. Okay, so If devotees have any questions on what we just discussed, you can ask. Otherwise, today's content is relatively small, fairly light, light in the sense that there's only one fundamental concept or takeaway that most of us should be aware by now: how material world is going to test us at every point in time. Okay, so that's what we are going to do today. The shlokas are pretty long, so I'm not going to read the shlokas, but we'll read the translations and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Text 1, translation. Shri Sukavacha, or Shri Sukadeva Goswami continued. After his father, Maharaj Priyavrata, departed to follow the path of spiritual life by undergoing austerities, King Agnidhra completely obeyed his order. Strictly observing the principles of religion, he gave full protection to the inhabitants of Jambudvipa as if they were his own begotten sons. Purport. Following the instruction of his father, Maharaj Priyavrata, Maharaj Agnidhra ruled the inhabitants of Jambudvipa according to religious principles. These principles are exactly contrary to the modern principles of faithlessness. As clearly stated here, the king protected the citizens the way a father protects his begotten children. How he ruled the citizen is also described here. Dharma Veksha Manaha, strictly according to the religious principles, strictly according to Dharma. It is the duty of the executive head of the state to see that the citizens strictly follow religious principles. The Vedic religious principles begin with Varnashrama Dharma, the duties of the 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas. Dharma refers to principles given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The first principle of Dharma or religion is to observe the duties of the 4 orders as enjoined by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, according to people's qualities and activities. Society should be divided into Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, and then again into Brahmacharis, Grahasthas, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasis. These are religious principles, and it is the duty of the head of the state to see that his citizens strictly follow them. He should not merely act officially. He should be like a father who is always a well-wisher of his sons. Such a father strictly observes whether his sons are following their duties, and sometimes he also punishes them. Just contrary to the principles mentioned here, the presidents and the chief executives in the age of Kali are simply tax collectors who do not care whether religious principles are observed. Indeed, the chief executives of the present day introduce all kinds of sinful activities, especially illicit sex, intoxication, animal killing, and gambling. These sinful activities are now very prominently manifested in India, although 100 years ago, these 4 principles of sinful life were strictly prohibited in the families of India. They have now been introduced into every Indian family. Therefore, they cannot follow religious principles. Okay, we'll finish off this. In contrast to the principles of the kings of old, the modern state is concerned only with propaganda for levying taxes and is no longer responsible for the social welfare of the citizens. The state is now callous to religious principles. Srimad Bhagavatam predicts that in Kali Yuga, the government will be entrusted with Dasyu Dharma, which means the occupational duty of rogues and thieves. Modern heads of state are rogues and thieves who plunder the citizens instead of giving them protection. Rogues and thieves plunder without regard for law. But in this age of Kali, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, the lawmakers themselves plunder the citizens. The next prediction to be fulfilled, which is already coming to pass, is that because of sinful activities of the citizens and governments, rain will become increasingly scarce. Gradually, there will be complete drought and no production of food grains. People will be reduced to eating flesh and seeds, and many good spiritually inclined people will have to forsake their home because they will be too harassed by drought, taxation, and famine. The Krishna consciousness movement is the only hope to save the world from such devastation. It is the most scientific and authorized movement for actual welfare of the whole human society. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Sthapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Putale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschartya Teshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasti Gaurav Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, Hare Krishna. So here it's a nice long purport by Srila Prabhupada. So this Agnidra story continues, wherein he is now going to take over. When if you remember, there were dvipas that were split by Prevat Maharaj, and each of his sons got hold of to be the protecting or ruling one dvipa, and Agnidra was ruling the Jambu dvipa. I think I have some photos later. Let's see if we go there. Anyways, so basically, what does it mean by ruling a kingdom? It means that you are strictly obeying the religious principles. This is the important part. Okay, what does religious principles means? Very simple. If you're ruling something, if you are responsible for someone, even within a house, if you are responsible for that family, the best thing you can do, according to religious principles, if you are able to take care of the family, that means that the family has to become Krishna conscious. That is your duty. It's your responsibility. It is not an option. Okay. Otherwise, it says that you don't need to become a father, a mother, a guru, a king. You'll be called useless if you do not direct your people to become Krishna conscious. Okay. The best thing to follow, obviously, is the Varnashram Dharma. Today, we'll not elaborate on Varna and Ashramas. We all know this concept. But basically, like a father takes care of children, King Agnidra took care of his people. And Srila Prabhupada elaborates on how the modern principle of so-called democracy is just crazy. Right? It's demon crazy is what Srila Prabhupada says. Right? It's just crazy because the person who is heading is not even concerned about the people. His concern is a lot different. Like, how do I become very popular in the government? That's his whole concern. How will he be able to take care of his people? Right? So Kali Yuga is always going to be like this. Srila Prabhupada, in fact, tells some of the things that will come later in Srimad Bhagavatam. In the 12th canto, there's a lot of elaboration on this, how the rains will reduce, the governments will become very, very strict towards people because they don't have a choice, and people will not be able to get food grains. They will have to sustain on eating flesh, going all the way by the closer to the end of Kali Yuga, people will be eating each other. There's nothing else to eat, right? So that's how it will go. And that's when, restarting of Satya Yuga has to happen. Mother Earth has to start producing again. So these topics are discussed. So anyways, for devotees, 10,000 years we have, and this is our only hope, like Srila Prabhupada says. Our only hope to save the world from this devastation is Krishna consciousness movement. And this month of December, wherein devotees go out and do book distribution for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada, I think this is the purpose. Bring the world to Krishna consciousness so that we can save the world. Otherwise, the modern society will just eat people up, because only the rogues, the thieves, the plunderers, these are the ones who will actually become popular. So from a devotee perspective, how do I look at it? I mean, this is personally, how do I adopt, and how am I serving the moment? I think these are the two important things that we can learn. We will move on now. Desiring to get a perfect son and become an inhabitant of Pitraloka, Maharaj Agnidra once worshipped Lord Brahma, the master of those in charge of material creation. He went to the valley of Mandara Hill, where the damsels of the heavenly planets come down to stroll. There he collected garden flowers and other necessary paraphernalia, and then engaged in severe austerities and worship. Okay, so this king now has become, so he became a king, right? So now he goes on to the Mandara Hill, and there he is taken up the Vesha of a saint or a sage or person who's going to meditate on the Supreme Lord. So here he is worshipping Lord Brahma, because what does he deserve? He wants a perfect son. Why a perfect son? A perfect son will be able to deliver you to higher planetary systems, right? So your higher planetary system delivery is dependent on the sun. And secondly, his desire was also to become an inhabitant of the Pitraloka. Now you will see that Priyavrat Maharaj was a devotee. He wanted to serve the Supreme Lord. He wanted to go back home, back to Godhead. His son, how is he hoping that he will go to higher planetary system, he'll go to the Pitraloka? Okay, very, very interesting, right? So you'll get the answer a little later. But this was his desire. And Priyavata Maharaj also met Lord Brahma. So Agnidra is also worshipping Lord Brahma. Okay, the inhabitants of Pitraloka. So we know about Pitraloka. So just an elaboration on that. The inhabitants of Pitraloka are generally men of Karma Kandya or fruitive activities category, who have been transferred there because of their pious activities. They can stay there as long as their descendants offer them prasada. Right, so this Shraddha ceremony that is done to our forefathers, the forefathers can continue to stay in Pitraloka and enjoy there. That means that they have got a qualified progeny or qualified son who is able to take care of it. Okay, devotees don't worry too much about it. They pray that their parents or their forefathers actually get delivered. But this is the background. Okay, what happens if the Shraddha ceremony stops? So-called Pitros who are there in the Pitraloka, they will fall down. Where will they go? Brahma-Bhuvana Loka, Punaravartina. Same thing, right? So why are they there in the Brahmaloka or in the higher planetary system? Pitraloka is one of the heavenly planetary systems, Swargaloka, wherever it is, right? So why are they there? Because they have got punya to go there. Okay, they can stay there as long as their bank account is not emptied. Shine punya, martya lokam vishanti. When your bank account is over, you're thrown out of that hotel resort. The same thing here. When your bank account is over, punya account is over, you are coming back to this Martyaloka. Okay, this is the one that I was mentioning. Since Maharaj Agnitra was the son of Vaishnava, he should have desired to be transferred to the spiritual world, Vaikuntha Loka. Why then did he desire to be transferred to Pitraloka? In answer to this, Goswami Giridhar Goswami, one of the Bhagavatam commentators, remarks that Agnitra was born when Maharaj Priyavata was infatuated by lusty desires. This may be accepted as a fact because sons are begotten with different mentalities according to the time of their conception. According to the Vedic system, therefore, before a child is conceived, the Garbhadan Samskara is performed. This ceremony molds the mentality of the father in such a way that when he plants the seed in the womb of his wife, he will beget a child whose mind will be completely saturated with devotional attitude. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada gives a very, very important aspect here on the Garbhadan Samskara. So this question is also very, very important or very nice, right? So first part, it says that devotees' children, are they also devotees? Generally, they should be, or at least they should have full facility, right? If our children, after coming to Krishna consciousness, if we have a child, if the child is not interested, that means we did not progenate the child in the right mood. Right, so here Agnitra was born when Maharaj Priyavata was infatuated by lusty desires. Okay, so that's why devotees are said, okay, this Garbhadan Samskara, we all know about it, right? So 50 rounds, it takes 8 hours to chant. After 8 hours of chanting, when the mother and the father are trying to conceive a child, where is lustiness? You have chanted the whole day. You're more interested in having a good progeny. That's what you pray for. That's what you take permission from the acharyas, from the seniors, from the Vaishnavas and so on. Sometimes modern day it's not possible. You just have to go and pray to the Supreme Lord and photos of the acharyas, including our spiritual master, saying that please let a devotee be born in the family. That's exactly should be the mindset. And that's what is being mentioned here. This is an important takeaway as well for devotees, because we keep hearing about this concept, and here is an example of this concept. We saw in Prithu Maharaj's story, the concept was a little different. how Vena became King Vena was actually not a right person, because there was a marriage, intercaste marriage, if you have to call it, between a demon and a good person, and then the qualities of that person actually comes into the child, right? So those things can also happen. And in this case, it's purely that a qualified father, a qualified mother, not a qualified situation. So the child can get corrupted. See, that doesn't mean Agnidra was a demon or something, right? So he was just more materialistic in nature, like it's mentioned earlier, right? So this whole interest to go to Pitraloka itself is a karma kanda. Even spiritual to go to any of the higher planetary systems, these are all materialistic thoughts. Karma kanda process. Bhakti process will take you out of it. Okay. Understanding Agnitra's desire, the first and the most powerful created being of this universe, Lord Brahma, selected the best of the dancing girls in his assembly, whose name was Purvachitti, and sent her to the king. Simple, Brahmaji is doing his work, he is being prayed for, so he is sending the uh, person. So this Mandara hill where he's chanting, where he's actually doing his meditation, that place itself is visited by too many of these apsaras and other beauties. That's why he is there, right? So his desire was to get married, right? So his desire was not to meditate and get out, like his father's desire. Priyavrata Maharaj was in this Gandhamadana mountain, wherein his whole purpose was he was to chant and get out. That's where he was pulled back into this place, saying that, no, no, wait, you have purposes to fulfill. Now, in this case, Agnidra went to a place where he would see a lot of apsaras. The apsara sent by Lord Brahma began strolling in a beautiful park near the place where the king was meditating and worshipping. The park was beautiful because its dense green foliage and golden creepers. There were pairs of varied birds, such as peacocks, and in a lake there were ducks and swans, all vibrating sweet sounds. Thus, the park was magnificently beautiful because of the foliage, the clear water, the lotus flowers, and sweet singing of various kinds of birds. So he was there meditating in a very, very, very serene place, very, very beautiful place. Okay. As Purvachiti passed by on the road in a very beautiful style and mood of her own, the pleasing ornaments of her ankles tinkled with her every step. Although Prince Agnitra was controlling his senses, practicing yoga with half open eyes, he could see her with his lotus like eyes. And when he heard the sweet tinkling of her bangles, he opened his eyes slightly more and could see that she was just nearby. Right? So he was in a very beautiful place, very serene, very nicely thinking of the Lord, meditating on Brahmaji's. And then she comes, a beautiful apsara, as it mentioned here, with a sweet tinkling sound. The birds are all having their sound. So he's meditating, as mentioned in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, right? So half eyes open. Now, with that disturbance, he opens his eyes little more. Okay, that little more, the slightly more is our problem as well. What is the problem? That little more attraction that we have for the material world, we get deviated. Okay, actual yoga practice means controlling the senses. One must practice mystic yoga to control the senses, but the sense control of a devotee who is fully engaged in the service of the Lord will be purified senses. Rishikesha Sevana can never be disturbed. So this concept of half eyes open, right? So he gets disturbed because he gets deviated, right? So we have seen the example of, let's say, a Vishwamitra Muni or Shaubari Muni, who got deviated with the slightest of change because they were trying to control their senses. Now, for us, we try to engage our senses. That's the difference, right? So between a devotee and a yogi, right? So a yogi is using his own power to control, and it's possible. It's not that it's impossible, and there have been many successful stories as well. But for a devotee, the success is a lot simpler because I am not trying to control, I'm not trying to renounce, I'm trying to engage. Meaning, whatever a devotee does, he tries to do it for the pleasure of Krishna. Right? So a devotee does not renounce. So Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura, when he actually had a car to travel, devotees were asking, oh, why do you travel in a car? A sannyasi is supposed to walk. He says, for Krishna's service, I can take up anything. And Srila Prabhupada, when he went to the foreign land, and he was being picked up in a Rolls Royce. The press reporter said, "You are traveling in Rolls Royce." He's like, "Why not? Why not? I'm serving the Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Lord has sent me this. I will engage the typewriters, I will engage the dictaphone, I will engage car, I will engage the flight, I will engage the Jaladuta ship, I will engage all this in Krishna's service." And that's exactly how Srila Prabhupada taught us. And that's what it says here. Such a devotee who uses everything in the service of the Lord, who engages everything in the service of the Lord, is automatically purified of these fall downs because he is not disturbed by these things. A yogi, difference between a yogi and a devotee is that, right? So the example of Vishwamitra Muni or Shobari Muni, like I said, or Prince Agnitra here. Like a honeybee, the Apsaras smelled the beautiful and attractive flowers. She could attract the minds and vision of both humans and demigods by her playful movements. Her shyness and humility, her glances, the very pleasing sound that poured from her mouth as she spoke, and the motions of her limbs. By all these qualities, she opened for Cupid, who bears an arrow of flowers, a path of oral deception into the minds of men. When she spoke, nectar seemed to flow from her mouth as she breathed. The bees, mad for the taste of her breath, tried to hover about her beautiful lotus-like eyes. Disturbed by the bees, she tried to move hastily, but as she raised her feet to walk quickly, her hair, the belt on her hips, and her breasts, which were like water jugs, also moved in a way that made her extremely beautiful and attractive. Indeed, she seemed to be making a path for the entrance of Cupid, who is most powerful. Therefore, the prince, completely subdued by seeing her, spoke to her as follows. He opened his eyes slightly more, the previous shloka. Now he is completely lost, right? The Cupid has hit, the Manmatha has captured her. So he is completely subdued by seeing her. The explanation of the beautiful girl is here. In fact, in one of the purports, Srila Prabhupada mentions the higher planetary system for people in higher planetary systems, the most beautiful, the Miss Worlds and the Miss Universes are just like frogs. The uncomparable beauty that is there in the higher planetary system, and what to speak of spiritual world. Okay, it's again something that you can't even compare. Higher planetary system probably are like the frogs and the ducks. I don't know what are the examples that are given, but this lady was so very beautiful, right? So he's now got attracted to her, right? So thousands of times more attractive than whoever he's seen so far. Thus, one's promotion to the spiritual world is checked simply by seeing the beautiful bodily structure and movements of women. Okay, so here when it says women, for us, when we need to understand that it's the opposite sex or the sex that you're attracted to. Right, so simply by getting attracted to that, your spiritual progress is fallen down. You actually fall down. In fact, in the Priyavrata Maharaj story also, you actually will see this, right? So don't know, again, it depends on how much we remember. So he suddenly got too attracted to his wife. When he had children, he started producing. Then he repented, saying that, "Arey, what am I doing? I'm supposed to be a devotee. I came here to just establish something or set up something, and now I'm getting attracted to this. I need to get out of it. I need to run away." Right? So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu even refused to see Prataparudra. Right? So Maharaj Prataparudra in that Rath Yatra pastime you would have seen. So he refused to see him because he doesn't want to be connected to an opulent person, a very opulent person in the material world like the king, because they can pull us down. Same thing, those who are engaged in devotional service of the Lord, they're very serious about going back home, back to Godhead, should be very careful to avoid seeing beautiful gestures of women, and should also avoid seeing persons who are very rich. The moment you start getting attracted to the richness of a person or the beauty of a person, you will start contemplating on that. When you have that idea or that seed in your heart, till that is removed, it's very difficult to go back. Right? So you are, even if you're attracted to one gulab jamun or rasgulla, you're going to stay back in the material world, then what about this? Right? So, Arey, this house is so nice. Can I also buy a house like this? This car is so nice. Or this girl is so nice. Any of these things, we are here. We are not going back. So if we are very serious about going back home, back to Godhead, then avoid these things. Right? So that's what is mentioned here by Srila Prabhupada. Okay, the prince mistakenly addressed the Apsara. Oh, best of saintly persons, who are you? Who are you? Why are you on this hill? And what do you want to do? Are you one of the illusory potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? You seem to be carrying two bows without strings. What is the reason you carry these bows? Is it for some purpose of your own or for the sake of a friend? Perhaps you carry them to kill the mad animals in this forest. So this mistakenly addressed is a very, very funny thing, as you would see. So the prince was so lost in his intelligence that he did not differentiate Purvachiti between being a girl or a boy. So he addressed as a saintly person. He addresses her as a boy throat. You will actually see that for a few more shlokas, right? So that's what he's saying. And your eyebrows, here the bows are called the eyebrows. Your eyebrows are very interesting. So Agnidra, having lost his intelligence, could not distinguish whether Purvachiti was a male or female. He mistook her for a Muniputra, the son of a saintly person. Interesting, no? He came here for a girl, but he's seeing a girl and he's thinking about, oh, is this a girl or it's a Muniputra? Her eyebrows were like bows meant to kill animals in the forest. Well, here the reference Srila Prabhupada tells us, look, a girl's eyebrows are beautiful. You get attracted. This is a material forest. You are the animal. You are getting killed. As you are captivated by the beauty of the girl, you are going to kill your own self. Right? So they say spiritual suicide. Right? So killing of the self means that you're not providing what is needed for your own self, which is your platform of the soul, platform of Atma, right? So otherwise you are getting killed. The body is nothing, right? So body will pass. But are you in a position to save yourself from Maya that's going to attack our own self? Okay. Then Agnidra observed the glancing eyes of Purvachiti and said, my dear friend, you have two very powerful arrows, namely your glancing eyes. Those arrows have feathers like the petals of a features like the petals of lotus flower. Although they have no shafts, they are very beautiful and they have very sharp piercing points. They appear very peaceful, and thus it seems that they will not be shot at anyone. You must be loitering in this forest to shoot those arrows at someone, but I cannot understand whom. My intelligence is dull and I cannot combat you. Indeed, no one can equal you in powers, and therefore I pray that your powers will be for my good fortune. Right. So he says that you have very beautiful eyes. That's all he's saying, right? So as men flirt with girls, he's here Agnitra is flirting with Purvachiti. He's saying, oh, you have got such beautiful eyes. Looks like they're sharp arrows, but they're so peaceful that it looks like you will not be shooting at anyone. And obviously, when you shoot at me, I cannot protect myself. It's better that you don't do that. But in fact, I pray that this will be used for my good fortune. Okay. Seeing the bumblebees following Purvachiti. So it is mentioned in the beginning, right? So when Purvachiti came, there are a lot of bees that were going around. She was so fragrant and so beautiful. Maharaj Agnitra said, my dear Lord, the bumblebees surrounding your body are like disciples surrounding your worshipable self. They are incessantly chanting the mantras of the Samaveda and the Upanishads, thus offering prayers to you. Just as great sages resort to the branches of Vedic literatures, the bumblebees are enjoying the showers of flowers falling from your hair. His level of poetry is increasing, right? So materially in Kali Yuga, men also do this. Like, so when they see someone in flirtatious ways, they actually start glorifying them. They look for references. They can probably have references from some songs of the movies and all that, right? So that's what he is doing here. Oh Brahmana, I can simply hear the tinkling of your ankle bells. Within those bells, tittery birds seem to be chirping among themselves. Although I do not see this form, I can hear them, hear how they are chirping. When I look at your beautiful circular hips, I see they are the lovely color of kadamba flowers, and your waist is encircled by a belt of burning cinders. Indeed, you seem to have forgotten to dress yourself. Srila Prabhupada mentions, right? He's talking about that girl, calling her a Brahmana, and talking about every part of her body, right? So this titri bird is the bird that makes the sweet sound, right? So he's saying that I can't see the bird, but I can hear the sound like your ankle bells. I can hear them, but I can't see them. Same thing with the rest of it. He's just continuing to praise her. Agnitra then praised Purvachiti's raised breast. He said, "My dear Brahmana, your waist is very thin, yet with great difficulty you are carefully carrying two horns to which my eyes have become attracted. What is filling those two beautiful horns? You seem to have spread fragrant red powder upon them, powder that is like the rising morning sun. O most fortunate one, I beg to inquire where you have gotten this fragrant powder that is perfuming my ashrama, my place of residence." So he's in ashram, he's chanting there. So he's got completely diverted from what he was doing, so much attracted to this girl. Like it is mentioned, I think I recently saw some ad wherein a person goes to a girl on the road and says that, "Actually, your perfume smells very nice. Can you please tell which perfume it is?" She looks at him a little angry. Right? That's not how you talk to a girl, right? So he says, "No, no, I want to buy my wife the same perfume. Can you tell me the name?" And she says that, "Please don't buy." He's like, "Why?" She says that stupid people on the road will come and ask her. So it's better you save your wife, right? So it is something like that. On the material world, we all get attracted to every small things, trying to see if I can be the enjoyer. That's the whole summon substance, right? So here Agnitra is also saying that, can I enjoy this beauty that I see here? Okay, he's still addressing her as male. Please understand, he's not gone to the concept of a female yet. Okay, why I do not know. Okay, oh best friend, will you kindly show me the place where you reside? I cannot imagine how the residents of that place have gotten such wonderful bodily features as your raised breasts, which agitate the mind and eyes of a person like me who sees them. Judging by the sweet speech and kind smells of those residents, I think that their mouths must contain nectar." Right? So it's not only you who look like, your entire family is going to, or your entire people from your place that you have come in, they look very beautiful. Of course, she's an Apsara. She's sent by Brahmaji, right? So he is still in Jambudvipa, more in the Bhumandala concept. So the higher planetary people, when they come, they are going to be very attractive for these people, right? So that is normal. My dear friend, what do you eat to maintain your body? Because you're chewing betel, a pleasing scent is emanating from your mouth. This proves that you always eat the remnants of food offered to Vishnu. Indeed, you must also be an expansion of Lord Vishnu's body. Your face is as beautiful as the pleasing lake. Your jeweled earrings resemble two brilliant sharks with unblinking eyes like those of Vishnu. And your own eyes resemble two restless fish. Simultaneously, therefore, two sharks and two restless fishes are swimming in the lake of your face. Besides them, the white rows of your teeth seem like rows of very beautiful swans in the water, and your shattered hair resembles swans of bumblebees following the beauty of your face. Okay, so anyways, he's referring to her as Vishnu's expansion because the beauty is not something which is normal according to him. He's also glorifying the food that is offered to Lord Vishnu. So when you take the remnants, the prasadam, then your body is very beautifully maintained. This is what he's been talking about. Basically, if you look at any songs that we know, spiritual or material, when they're glorifying another personality, these are the kind of words that they use. right? So today, what modern writers are we talking about? It is come in Bhagavatam, and it's not easy to compare. Anyway, my mind is already at restless, and by playing with the ball, moving it all about with your lotus-like palm, you are also agitating my eyes. Your curling black hair is now scattered, but you are not attentive to arranging it. Are you not going to arrange it? Like a man attached to women, the most cunning wind is trying to take off your lower garments. Are you not mindful of it? Yeah, so sure. So Apsaras come, Apsaras do such things. They attract. Obviously, when the Apsara is there, the Cupid comes and shoots the arrow, right? So that's what is happening here. Now, this is a piece that's highlighted in yellow. The girl Purvachiti was playing with the ball in her hands. So today, there's a lot of concept, a lot of discussion around, the equality between men and women, right? So today, women are allowed to play any sport and all that like a man, right? So they can play the crickets and the footballs and the tennis and everything. Now, even in the higher planetary systems like the Apsaras, they used to play with ball. It's not that the modern education created this, but the purpose was very different, right? So the purpose was to attract it. And today also, these games are created according to our acharyas, including Srila Prabhupada mentioning this. These games are created by men who want to exploit women, right? So it's not that the women play the game very wonderfully and all that. It's more on the concept of the men trying to attract the women by telling them that you're equal to us. And if you look Shastras very nicely, you'll understand the women are always in a better place than men. Why they have to be equal to men, right? So Prabhupada, in fact, condemns this whole concept of, women having to play sports with men, like the mixed sports, mixed doubles, tennis match and all that. It's unnecessary. The women can do their own piece, don't have to become an attraction to the audience. That's not the purpose. Oh, best among those performing austerities, where did you get this wonderful beauty that dismantles the austerities performed by others? Where have you learned this art? What austerity have you undergone to achieve this beauty, my dear friend? I desire that you join me to perform austerity and penance, for it may be that the creator of the universe, Lord Brahma, being pleased with me, has sent you to become my wife. So finally, after about 15 shlokas, Agnitra has come to the concept that, oh, you are here to become my wife. Okay, whatever austerities that you have performed to get this beautiful body, I don't know, but now we can perform these austerities together. And my meditation or my prayers to Brahmaji is answered. That's why he's probably sent you to become my wife. He requested Purvachati to become his wife so that together they could perform austerities and penances in family life. In other words, a suitable wife helps her husband perform penances and austerities in household life if both of them are on the same elevated platform of spiritual understanding. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada very nicely in the purport mentions the purpose of a grihastha life. A grihastha life, the wife supports the husband and the husband supports the wife with Krishna as center in the family. Then they get elevated, they progress in spiritual life together. Right? So a family that actually serves Krishna together happily stays together, happily continues together. Yes, there can be misunderstandings, but the center purpose is not ego, but the Lord. The center of the whole story is not me, but Krishna. If this is good for Krishna, let's do it. If it's not good for Krishna consciousness, let's not do it. Right? So that will come. And now Agnitra, though he was attracted to the girl and though blah, blah, blah was happening, he still used this wonderful concept saying that let's serve or let's do our austerities and penances, together. And that's the key of a happily married life. Okay. Lord Brahma, who is worshipped by the Brahmanas, has very mercifully given you to me. And that is why I have met you. I do not want to give up your company, for my mind and eyes are fixed upon you and cannot be drawn away. O woman with beautifully raised breasts, I'm your follower. You may take me wherever you like, and your friends may also follow me. Right? So, a man who is attracted to a woman, who gets attached to a woman, has no choice but to follow her wherever she can drag him. Right? So, materially, this is normal, and Agnidra is frankly admitting this as his weakness. This is what can I say? But I am just blindly available for you to take me wherever you want. Okay, so it is requested in the Shastras that a man does not get attracted to the beauty of a girl, rather gets attracted to the spiritual qualities of the girl. In that way, they will be able to serve together. Otherwise, like Srila Madhvacharya remarks here, that the connection in this connection, that when one engages in joking and talking like a crazy person, one may say anything and everything, but his words will be meaningless. Right? So you get attracted to a girl, but you're talking all nonsensical things. So Agnidra finished talking. Now Sukadeva Goswami continued. Maharaj Agnidra, whose intelligence was like that of demigods, knew the art of flattering women to win them to his side. He therefore pleased that celestial girl with his lusty words and gained her favor. Right, so that's what we saw. He was actually flirting with her with nice flattery words, and she also liked it. She also had come for that purpose. So she gets attracted and they decide to get married. Right, so he gained her favor. By the grace of Lord Brahma, King Agnidra and the heavenly girl Purvachiti found their union quite suitable. Thus they enjoyed worldly and heavenly happiness for many thousands of years. I don't know how many of you remember how long Priyavrata Maharaj, who's Agnidra's father, how long did he rule? It is mentioned he ruled for 110 crore years, earthly years. If you go back and read that, I remember it said it's 11 into 1 crore, 10 crores, right? So that's the number that is mentioned in the previous chapter. So that's how much he ruled. So similarly, his son also has very long duration. We are again talking in the Satya Yuga, where lifetimes are huge. Manu's direct sons and grandsons that we are talking here. So they got married. They were suitable marriage by the grace of Lord Brahma, and they continued for many, many years. Okay. Now comes another 5 shlokas probably, but interesting topic, right? So we are talking about, yes, why did the concept of this Sarga Visarga, instead of from Visarga, it goes into Sthanam. Why did that come into picture? That's what we get a glimpse of it here. In the womb of Purvachiti, Maharaj Agnidra, the best of kings, begot 9 sons named Nabi, Kimpurusha, Harivarsha, Ilavrata, Ramyaka, Hiranmaya, Kuru, Bhadrasva, and Ketumala. We might have heard these names. Kimpurusha Varsha, Ilavata Varsha, Hiranmaya Varsha, Kuru Varsha, Bhadrasva Varsha. So these are all the different Varshas. Okay, that piece of land you will see here. Just give me 1 minute. We'll go back to that picture. Purvachiti gave birth to this.
Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, Hanuman lives in Kim Purusha Varsha.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, Prabhuji. So, okay, fine. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Kim Purushas are, these personalities who are better than humans, right? So these are basically called as superhumans. So Hanumanji also stays there. There are others also who stay there. Okay, so when Sugriva formed that army, many of them could perform better than human beings because they were not normal monkeys. We just correspond them to monkeys. They had come from higher planetary systems. Even people like Jambavan and others.
Vanar Jat, they're called Vanar Jat, no, Prabhuji?
Vanaras, yes.
Vanara.
So these are all, they are in the Kim Purusha Varsha.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. So Purvachiti gave birth to these 9 sons, 1 each year. But after they grew up, she left them at home and again approached Lord Brahma to worship. So Apsaras do not continue to stay in one place. Okay, we'll see this picture. It's a nice picture. This is the picture of your Jambudvipa. We will be seeing a lot of this in the second half of this canto. Basically, he split. So if you remember this Jambudvipa, how the Dvipas were done in the last chapter. I don't know if you have seen the pictures. So Jambudvipa is the first one. Agnithras surrounded by the salt lake. The next one was surrounded by sugarcane juice. The next one surrounded by liquor, clarified butter, and so on. Right. So I remember there were 9 different varshas, and the last one was pure drinking water. There was one with milk and so on. Right. So 9 or 7. Right. So these were all the different dvipas that were done. Within the dvipa are these different varshas. So each son, if you see, they had one piece of land, Ilavrata, Hiranmaka, Ramya. So this piece of land within that boundary belongs to that person. That's how it is split. This is what he did, and this is what he gives it to his different sons. Okay. Now, when you understand, when we do the different homas, different gayatris, we say Jambudvipe, Bharatavarshe, Bharatakande, and all that, right? So we are here in Jambudvipa, in that Bharatavarsha. In that Bharatavarsha, we are in the Bharatakanda, which is your Indian subcontinent. That's called the Bharatakanda. In that one, you'll have the Ganga and the Yamuna and the Saraswatis and the Gandakis and all that, right? So this is where we are in this entire Jambudvipa. Jambudvipa is one island in the cosmic sky. So we should also understand that it's not like an island in the water, but it's in the cosmic sky, surrounded by Salt Lake ocean, right? So that's how it is. Again, we'll talk about this. So there are 9 varshas, 9 mountains, and the major rivers that are mentioned here. But anyways, we'll continue. So we are talking about Purvachiti. The Apsara gives birth and she goes back. Like Menaka gave birth to Shakuntala and she went back. Vishwamitra could not stop her. We also have seen this in Mahabharata when Ganga Devi gave birth to Bhishma Dev. She left and went back because they do not belong to that place. Right, so that's what she does as well. When they come here, they come under the order of Brahmaji or Indra or whatever it is, and the Apsaras go back. And there's a lot of elaboration on Apsaras. We'll actually see if there is any description that comes in the later half. We'll talk about how they are not affected by a childbirth or pregnancy or whatever it is, right? So they just are always Apsaras. Okay. Because of drinking the breast milk of their mother, the 9 sons of Agnithra naturally had strong, well-built bodies. Their father gave them each a kingdom in different parts of Jambudvipa. The kingdoms were named according to the names of the sons. Thus, the sons of Agnithra ruled kingdoms they received from their father. Right? So, all those names that we saw, the 9 kings, 9 sons, each of them got a varsha, and that's a piece of land, and they continued with that. Okay. After Purvachiti's departure, King Agnidra, his lusty desires not yet satisfied, always thought of her. Therefore, in accordance with the Vedic injunctions, the king, after his death, was promoted to the same planet as his celestial wife. That planet, which is called Pitraloka, is where the Pitas, the forefathers, live in great delight. Right? So the chapter started with Agnidra having a desire to have a son and go to the Pitraloka, and that's what he's achieved. This is towards the end of it. Why does he go to the Pitraloka? Because he's still attracted to that girl, Purvachiti, who's there in that planet. So it is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, right? Whomever we think, we go to that place. Yanti Deva Veta Devan, Pitrunyanti, Pitravataha, Bhutani Yanti Bhuteja, so whoever remembers me, they will come to me. The Lord says, Krishna says, whoever remembers me, they will come to me. But if you remember a demigod, you'll go to the demigod's planet. If you remember the forefathers, you will go there. If you remember the bhutas, then you will go to that place, right? So that's what will happen. So whatever we remember, right? So yamyam vapi smaran bhavatya jitanta kalevaram. When we are leaving our body, right? So when we are living this kalevara at the end of our life, whatever we remember, yam vyapi smaran bhav, whatever we remember at that time, tam evaiti konteya, that is what we will get. Right? So always remember Krishna At the time of death, then you will go back to Krishna. The problem is what? I do not know what I will remember at the time of death. So the Acharya Kulshekhar Alvar, in fact, phrased that, saying that, oh, my dear Krishna, today while I'm healthy, when I have my senses in my control, let me remember you as much as possible. Let me remember you always. Because at the time of death, I don't know what will happen to me. At that time, it is your problem. And Krishna assures that throughout your life, you have remembered me. At the end of your life, it is my responsibility to remember you. Don't worry about your end of life. So devotee is abhaya because he does not abhaya fearless. Why? Because he knows that death is not fearful for a devotee. Death is just another change in episode, right? Like we move from one chapter to another, one canto to another. We're just moving from one body to another. We just move on. The best part is when we move on, we will be serving in an eternal body, the eternal personality. Right? That confidence to a devotee is more pleasing. He's looking forward to that moment rather than being fearful that this body will go away. Material people, why do they want to save the body? Because they don't know what happens next. They don't know. They either they feel that this is my end of life, this is my only body, or they feel that if I die here, I will go to hell, I will go to this, I will go to that. Devotees are assured, so they are fearless. Okay, after the departure of their father, the 9 brothers married the 9 daughters of Meru. Meru mountain, right? So Meru, named Meru Devi, Pratirupa, Ugradhamshvetai, Lata, Ramya, Shama, Nari, Bhadra, and Devaviti. Okay, this is thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purpose of the 5th canto, 2nd chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Activities of Maharaj Agnitra. Now, just wrapping up in a couple of minutes. So Meru Devi got married to the first son, who was Nabi, right? So we saw the names Nabi, and their son is Rishabdev. So we'll be hearing about Rishabdev, an expansion of the Lord, and his son Bharat Maharaj becoming a deer, then he becoming Jada Bharata, giving instructions to Rahugana. That's how the chapter will continue. And from Rahugana's instruction, we will jump to your Vedic cosmology, the Bhagavad cosmology. Okay, so the we began today with Atra Sarga Visargascha Sthanam Poshanam here, right? So Sarga is not here, but Visarga is here, and shift over to Sthanam is what we will see in the 5th canto. Okay, so what is a fundamental takeaway here? In the Agnitra story, there is just one very important thing. The material world is extremely attractive. You can get attracted, you can fall down at any point in time. Only a sincere soul will actually be able to control the outflow of Maya, the tests that Maya gives. Why does Maya Devi give these tests? I think recently Srila Prabhupada's purport was being shared, a small snippet of the purport was being shared, saying that Maya Devi does a very unthankable job, right? So she doesn't want to keep people here, right? So her duty is not to hold people here, but her duty is give people the test so that they are pass, they get qualified to enter into Krishna's eternal Leela. That's her work. That's a thankless job that she does. It's not a very easy job. Okay. And if you're having any desire that is materialistic, if you're not engaging in Krishna service fully, then unfortunately, we might have to continue staying here. Especially if you're an initiated devotee, please do not plan to stay back here, because if you're staying back, your spiritual master is also supposed to stay back. It's so unfortunate, right? So at least having that sincere thought, we should look forward to how do I do the best to my capacity and get out of this material rut so that I'm engaged in the service of the Lord. Doesn't matter where I am. Does not necessarily need to be in Golok Vrindavan. It can be in any Bhuloka or Goloka, any other universe, but engaged in the service of the Lord. That should be the desire for a devotee. So with this, let me stop here. If devotees have any questions, any comments, please feel free to ask.
Prabhuji, we have read this fifth canto in a group, but I fail to recollect. I just remember one thing, that Priyavrata divided that land into seven dvipas and seven oceans, and gave it
Yes,
to seven of his 10 sons.
correct.
Yeah, but he also begot three more sons from other wife. No, what happened to them?
So three of his sons became devotees. The other three
Okay.
sons, the
Hmm.
three sons from his other father, that's what Tamasa, Raivata, and Uttama, right? So I'm trying to recollect the names. It's been some time.
Okay.
But these three sons, they actually become Manus. So three people became devotees, three people become Manu, and
So
I
seven.
think Kavi and the other seven get the seven papers.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Okay.